Michael Ashby is here to talk to us about a healing journey that he's been on. We're excited to hear from you, Michael. What do you have for us?
I want to first thank you, Janise, very much. You all know that Janise is not afraid to push you when she thinks you need it. And she has pushed me a time or two, and I thank you for that. But she also, after she pushes you, she will accommodate and support and advocate for you. She's a tremendous teacher. So thank you again. And Janise was my dream analyst. So I've been around Janise for quite a while. And during those dreams, she was saying that I seem to have these healing abilities that healing gifts that keep showing up. So fast forward to all the way to 9 by 9, and one of the sessions in 9 by 9 class was healing, how to use your healing gifts. And she presented some techniques that we can use, and she also provided audio files for additional techniques that she has come up with herself. So, I mean, she's just amazing all around. So, anyway, I knew I wanted to start working on healing. My dreams are telling me I need to do this. So I contacted my brother, who I know has some issues, and he was very open. I said, I have your permission to maybe, use you as a guinea pig, just do some work on you and figure this thing out. And he said, sure, that's fine. And so I asked, what would he like for me to start working on? And he said that at some point he thinks he came down with COVID, possibly because he had lost his sense of taste and smell. He could not taste his food at all. I mean, it was so severe that he lost about 20 pounds because he had no interest in eating anything. He just couldn't taste, and it just tasted, I mean, what he could taste just tasted awful. So he wanted me to work on that. So I agreed, and I started in working on him while we were doing the 9 by 9 classes. And I tried out various techniques. I used some of Janice's techniques, and I sort of mishmashed all of these things together into my own mix of healing techniques, which eventually I think I found something that was comfortable for me. We rocked along for a couple of weeks, and I was checking with Charles, and he said, well, yeah, there's no change yet. So I kept working, and then along came, I had this trip to Germany planned. So I had to drop everything, and I flew to Germany to visit Aachen Cathedral. And I didn't have time to really do anything. I was just totally immersed in that trip, except that right in the middle of that week that I was gone, this guide at the cathedral that was helping us around, showing us around, offered to take myself and my son went with me to Germany, take us out on a nice long hike out in the woods. And it was terrific. We had a great time. We got involved in some deep conversations, and the subject of my healing sessions on my brother came up, and I told her that I hadn't been able to do any since I left home, and she said, "Do it right now. There's a bench right over there. We had just passed a bench on the trail." So she said, "Go do it right now. I want you to sit down and do a session." So I did. They went on ahead up the trail just to scout things out and left me alone. So I'm sitting there in the woods in Germany, and I start in doing this, and I'm thinking, well, I'm here in the middle of the woods in nature. Why don't I just invite some whatever nature beings are around who might want to come and offer their support. So I did that, and I felt a sudden whoosh through my back, and I felt something. I don't know what it was, but it was tremendous, and that was quite an experience. Okay. After the trip, I came home, and I took a few days to decompress from that, because Aachen Cathedral was a life-changing experience for me. I was curious. I wanted to know how I was doing. So I went into my channeling and asked my guides, what's going on? Is he getting any better, or is this healing have any effect at all? And they told me, yes, you are having an effect on your brother. It is working. It's taking a little while. He may be a little resistant, but that's okay. That's fine. Just keep going and you will be successful. They told me that. So I kept going. And at one point, after a couple of weeks, previously I had found out that my mom and dad, who are both passed, um, were also powerful healers on the other side. This is my understanding. So I thought, well, why don't I just call them in and see if they'd be willing to help out? I mean, this is their son as well as my brother. So I called them in and they showed up. They were there right alongside me in the healing session. And that was tremendous. I really enjoyed that. But we kept going. And for some reason, I don't know why, the next couple of weeks, I didn't call him in again. I just kept doing this. I guess I felt like I needed to, kind of complete this on my own. So I kept going. Finally, one day, it was a Thursday, I remember clearly. I was doing a session and I was only in there for just a few minutes. And then all of a sudden, right in the middle, my parents just showed up. I did not call them in. They just showed up. There they were. But they were not actually taking part. They were just standing there smiling and beaming at me. And after a few more minutes, the energy around me in this healing chamber that I have visualized all this time, the energy suddenly just changed. Everything just stopped and changed. And the guides just backed up, and I didn't know what was going on. And I felt a palpable change. And you know how when you check out of the hospital, they always give you all these papers to sign, and you got to sign releases and whatnot. And I felt like I was being asked to sign papers or something. It was like a whole ceremony kind of a thing. And I finished the session, and I didn't know what else to do. I just finished, and that was that. I waited until the next day. I checked with my guides, and they said, "You are now complete. The healing has been accomplished. The whole job is now up to your brother." So I didn't really know for sure what that meant, but I waited a day or so and I called and I said, "Well, is there any change now?" And he said, "Well, no, not really." And I said, "Well, healing ultimately comes from within each of us. I mean, if we don't accept it, we're not going to get it. We have to do the healing ourselves, really. We can get all this help from outside, but, we do it ourselves, really. And perhaps he just needs to go inside himself and work on himself and find where he's in resistance. And, maybe there's some things we can do." And we ended up having a long conversation this afternoon. I mean, it was like 2.5 hours. It was tremendous. I have to say that we were not on the best of terms. He's of a totally different political persuasion than I am, and we have our differences, and we butted heads more than once. And he did not leave on completely, joyful terms, let's say. And so I wasn't sure how he was going to react to everything that I was going to say to him, but he was totally open. We had this long conversation, and he started asking me questions. I explained to him my whole spiritual trip over the past year and, all the things that I was doing. And so he said, "Well, what can I do to get out of this resistance? What can I do to finally get healed?" And I told him, "Well, it comes from within us. So you need to go inside yourself, take up a practice of daily meditation. You can do that." And I told him all the things that I do. I gave him some tips, on how to start doing a meditation daily. And we talked over a lot of other things as well. I mean, we had a great session. I felt like we turned a corner with each other. I'm not done. I'm not done. This journey is far from over. And okay, the next thing that happened is I was going to we have our channeling practice group, and I went to the Friday afternoon practice. And Friday afternoons are usually kind of quiet, and only two of us showed up. It was myself and Colin. And so we had a great conversation. We talked to each other, and towards the end, he offered to do some channeling for me and bring, he's a budding medium. He's very talented. So he offered to bring in, see if he could to connect with my parents. And so he sat for a few minutes, and then he started describing this couple, a man and a woman, and he described them perfectly. It was my mom and dad; they were there, and so they started talking to him. And the most amazing thing to me happened. They showed Colin my healing chamber where I had done all of this work. I'm so sorry. And they showed him this chamber, and he described it to me perfectly, exactly. That's a round chamber, and how the guides were positioned, and I have this big light up overhead, and he saw my parents standing over to this side. Apparently, this was that final session that they were showing him, and they told him that it was a ceremony. So this was so amazing. And then Colin says, well, there's another energy coming in here. There's a young female that's coming in. And he wasn't totally sure about it, but he started using words like miscarriage. And then he used the word twin a couple of times. So he wasn't totally sure what this energy was about, but she was showing herself to Colin, and he was passing along whatever he could feel out of the situation. And so that was tremendous for me. I had no idea that any of this. The only thing I knew about my birth was that um, in my dreams had showed that I had a lot of birth wound traumas from my birth, and I really had no idea what that was all about. So a couple of days later, I'm in another channeling practice session and this time I got paired off with Almu, and I did some channeling for her, and then she did some channeling for me. And I asked her, maybe she could connect with this female energy, and she did. And she started giving me these messages. So apparently, my mom was pregnant with twins. Apparently, she's my sister. She's a twin. She did not survive the birth. She told Almu that it was her life path to support me in my birth. She was only there just to make sure that I was born and incarnated into this life. And she told Almu that even though she knew that I did not know anything about her, and I never did, that she had been supporting and guiding me my whole life, and that she would continue to do that. And she told Almu that she would leave these little nuggets. So she called them little golden nuggets for me to find. And she said that when I found them, I would recognize them, and I would know that they are from her. So, needless to say, my whole life, my whole outlook on life changed. Right then. I had this long lost sister whose path was to, help guide and support me. And so a few days after that channeling with Almu, I decided, well, in my channeling, I'll see if I can just call her in myself and maybe get a few more messages. And I did. And she came in and she came in with the biggest warm hug. And I felt her heart within my heart. It was tremendous. I hadn't felt anything like that since I was at Aachen Cathedral. So my life just keeps getting better and better. Okay, 2 more days later, we're back at channeling practice again. And this time I get paired off with Becky. I ask her, well, what can I do to support my brother? Because apparently he hasn't fully accepted this healing that he's been given. And her guides came in and gave me all of these things that I can do to support my brother. They even suggested a book that I could maybe send to my brother, and he could read it, and I could read it as well, and we could, discuss it, and have conversations over it, and maybe work our way back into other conversations where I can sort of gently lead him back to where he needs to be. So let me compose myself here. I just want to finish this off by saying that not only have some of the people here were directly involved, but everyone in this group has been either directly or indirectly involved in this healing journey. And, to round it all off and bring it back in a complete loop, Janise looked at a couple of dreams just the other day, and apparently I might have a gift or two that I can use in the Akashic records to help people once I develop that gift. And I can possibly use that to also guide my brother. And I may at times have to push his buttons, gently, but push them nevertheless. So this journey has led me all the way around to a new stage in my life. I'm sorry that I could not keep myself composed.
Oh, Michael, we love you so much. You're completely composed, just being who you are and sharing for all of us.
Thank you all. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you can cut away now whenever you want.
You don't want to be
I'm trying.
highlighted? When you said like we're all part of this, and that really brings it home, because I know that many of you have heard like you just have to be you. You are enough. You don't have to fix everything. You're not, you can't do everything. But like that's such a great reminder that if we are just who we are, then we're doing exactly what we need to be doing.
There is one thing I need to say that I totally forgot. That when Colin was channeling for me and my parents were there, my mom, he told Colin to tell me that she was apologizing to me. She's sorry that she didn't tell me because I never knew. So she apologized to me for not telling me. I don't know why I keep getting choked up about this. I mean, you'd think I'd just cry and get over it.
No, that birth
Well, we're all
wound.
getting choked up too, so and I have a twin, so it really hits home to me that I'm like, oh man.
Say if I could nerd out on dreams again, since that's what I do. I see in dreams all the time, and especially as I'm doing the 12 chakra birth wound journey, is that they have a partner when they're being born, like a spiritual partner or something like that. So, absolutely, that kind of thing is common. And a lot of times it's someone that we know in waking life. You'll see a partner there or a child, a really good friend or something, and they end up being this soul that helped you not be afraid while you were incarnating. And they just helped you along the whole journey through your mom's body. And then a lot of times it's just someone you don't know, like a spirit guide or an angel or something.
Alma told me when she was channeling that it was my twin's life path to make sure that I was born, to make sure that I was incarnated. That was the only reason she was there, apparently.
Does she have a name?
I asked her if anyone gave her a name. She said no. And I asked her, was there a name that she likes? And I got the name Elizabeth. And I asked her, is that okay? She said, yeah. So from now on, she's my sister Elizabeth.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
We needed Michael in our lives.
And I need all of you. And now I'll probably have a ton of dreams tonight, and Janise will have to analyze them all on Monday.
Yay! Your dreams are always a delight. I am telling you, Michael's dreams, like from the time I started working with him, there was never anything about childhood trauma. Of course, I always get a lot of people that have birth stuff, birth wounds in their dream.
But the thing that you opened up in my world, Janise, was that it took 3 times of my coming to actually get born. And that was such a revelation to me because I knew my mom had been pregnant with girls twice before I was born. And I knew that those 2 times, neither time had been successful, but it was not even on my radar that that was me until we did birth wound. And when that came through, it was so profoundly moving. It just changed everything about the way I think about all of that. Um, and it's still something that I go back to and think about this, that it gave me this whole different sense of, because I also knew that when I actually was born, I was very close to not being born once more. So I had always just thought, oh, I just didn't want to be here. Not so. Apparently, I wanted it enough to try 3 times, which was very different than what I had thought. And it really shifted the way I see my life and the world. And I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, birth dreams are so revealing and so important. And I remember this one that showed, and I'll probably tell the story wrong, but showed something like that I was also like I incarnated, but I also like I was stillborn basically. And I was the parents in this dream just didn't talk about it. And they put me, the baby, under the floorboards. And it was kind of like it just kind of like pulsating, I guess, the energy of like this is in the floorboards, it's hidden, it's not talked about, nobody acknowledged. And I told my mom that dream, and she kind of got this like kind of ghost look on her face. And she said, my mom had a stillborn baby, and I think it was their first baby. And so that was a long time ago, when they just didn't talk about those things and they didn't process it. It was just kind of like, oh, here's a baby that didn't survive. She said, that baby is buried somewhere, and I'm going to find out where. And she did a bunch of research and found out where the baby was buried. And she took me there and looked for it, looked for it, looked for it. We found it. And I was just able, it just said Baby Stradley. That was my name. And I was just able to have this massive release with my mom. That would have been like, my mom and I would have been sisters. Like, wow.
Wow.
And it's just kind of bringing tears to my eyes, thinking like, oh, I could have been there to be her big sister, because she had a hard life. Her mom died really early, and she was the youngest, and she just had a hard life. So just having that dream led to all of that, and just this massive connection that I felt with my mom in that moment.
Wow.
Yeah. Birth wounds, big
Yeah.
things.
The first baby that I was the first and was stillborn. But she did get a name. And so that, that gives me some place for connection as well.
Would you mind saying her name?
Her name was Anne.
Well, thank you, Anne. You led to Becky at the right time, right place, right time. Well, Reggie is telling us that we are at the end. Thanks for keeping us on time, Reggie. Did you want to wrap us up or anything? In a love blanket?
Thank you again, Michael, for sharing. It was really an incredible story. I am really looking forward to the next time I'll be able to be here with all of you.
I want to say thank you to everyone for letting me do this.
Of course.
Our pleasure.
Everyone's like, well, I wouldn't have done it. Like, what do you mean letting you? Like, go do it.
We'll support you.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will skip a week, and then we'll be back to GPS the week after next. And Reggie and I will probably put out a word of like, what do you guys want to talk about next time? We'll put out a little informal survey on the Telegram and figure it out for next time. Bye.